I believe we are live. Welcome back to the show, guys. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we actually have not one, but two, frankly, bombshell breaking news stories that are unfolding really right this moment that we're going to try to do our best to break down today. But first, before we introduce the stories, I do want to say real quick, if you guys are new to the show, please make sure to subscribe here on YouTube and on Rumble. We are on both platforms right now at the very same time. Matt Morse TV on YouTube, Matt Morse TV on Twitter, and Matt Morse or X, and Matt Morse TV on Rumble. So please make sure to subscribe and like everything everywhere. Thank you all for tuning in today, guys. Listen, like I said, not one, but two breaking news bombshell stories of the day. We really are blessed in that regard. The first story of the day is relating to the ongoing investigation into Obamagate, the Russian collusion hoax. And I'll tell you what, today we actually have some massive news, some massive developments. So we're going to talk about that story first. Then a little bit later on in the show, the second story of the day is relating to the ongoing Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Once again, today we have some absolutely breaking bombshell news. Just to make sure, is everything okay? I think the broadcasts on both platforms are fine. A little bit of a tech check here. Are we good? Yes, I believe we are good everywhere. Okay, once again, just making sure everything is off to a good start. So folks, let's just get this show underway. Let's start breaking down the news because like I said, today we have a lot to talk about. So first off, before we get to some of our video clips that I like to share with you guys, because we have a lot of those today to go through. First off, let's go ahead and read through this article that is going over. It says, former Obama officials face a federal grand jury probe for allegedly pushing the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. Guys, we have our grand jury. For everybody that has been saying nobody ever gets held accountable, nobody is ever going to get brought to justice regarding this Obamagate, Russia collusion hoax situation, guess what? We are actually going through the motions. It seems like, listen, let's put it this way. Every single motion that we would have to go through in order to actually have some accountability here, we are going through those motions. You can't just snap your fingers and put these people behind a prison cell. You actually have to go through the motions, the legal hurdles. You have to prove your case in a court. You have to put together the evidence in the case and everything. And so that is what is going on right now. So check this out. Just earlier today, the Department of Justice, the DOJ, has reportedly opened a federal grand jury investigation into several former Obama administration officials for allegedly conspiring to push the false Trump-Russia collusion story during the 2016 election campaign. And also after Trump got into the White House, they were continuing to push this story in order to try to subvert and kneecap his presidential administration. In fact, curious little stat here, still to this day in the year 2025, 64% of Democrat voters still believe that Trump colluded with Russia in 2016. Still 9 years later. So this whole fake news propaganda campaign that they pushed for almost a decade now, it has been effective. And I say that regrettably, it has been effective. Still 64% of Democrats believe the propaganda. The investigation, the article goes on to say, opens numerous possible criminal charges for several of the former president's cabinet members, former President Obama, including Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, former CIA Director John Brennan, and former FBI Director James Comey, per the New York Post. National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard alleged in July, just a couple days ago, that files and records showed former President Barack Obama colluded with intelligence services to undermine the election of Donald Trump by falsely linking him to Russia. Gabbard said, there was a treasonous conspiracy in 2016 committed by officials at the highest level of government. When we talk about the effectiveness of this fake, fraudulent, bogus Russia collusion narrative, does anybody here live in a blue state or a more progressive area of the country? At the time all of this was unfolding, I was living this is 2016, 2017. I was living in the Portland, Oregon area. That's my hometown, is Portland, Oregon, perhaps the most progressive, radically progressive town in the entire country. And I remember every single day for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, it was Trump, Russia, Russia, Trump, Russia, everybody in real life. My boss, my coworkers, I was going to school, my fellow classmates, my teachers at university, Trump, Russia, Russia, Trump. So this was, you want to use the word psyop, this was an incredibly effective psyop. It was. And like I said, still to this day, a lot of Democrats believe this. That's why it's important. Beyond holding these people accountable, which it seems like we're going to do here, now we have the grand jury. Now the DOJ is interested in this, okay? Now we have the case for it. But beyond the criminality, beyond holding these people accountable, you got to set the record straight. You have to correct the record. You have to shut down the propaganda and say, hey, listen, no, a message to the American people. These people lied to you. The Democrats lied to you. Hillary Clinton lied to you. The Democrat operated of the Obama era intelligence community lied to you. You can't trust them. They lied. That is worth something in itself. Let's keep on reading here. Beyond the accountability, beyond the criminality, sending that message and correcting the narrative is worth something on its own. Now, continue reading. Their goal was to subvert the will of the American people and enact what was essentially a years-long coup with the objective of trying to undermine the president from fulfilling the mandate bestowed upon him by the American people. And that's what they did. The proper word here is coup. That's what it was. A little bit insurrection-y, don't you think? Our current Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, further accused the Obama administration of an, quote, egregious abuse of power and blatant rejection of the U.S. Constitution that threatens the very foundation and integrity of our democratic republic. Do you remember how guys, the hypocrisy is just next level. It's the Democrats for over a decade now. They've been talking about, we need to respect the transition of power. We need a peaceful transition of power. You have to be able to turn over the presidency into another president, from one president to another, one administration into another. We need to respect the transition of power. Does this entire situation with this fraudulent Russian collusion baloney, is this a respectful transition of power, or is this a deliberate deception and manipulation and subversion of our American democratic functions and systems? That's what this is, a total subversion of the democratic will of the American people. Moving on. Gabbard further, okay, so we read that. They sought to undermine the outcome of the 2016 election over Hillary Clinton. According to the New York Post, the investigation could face, quote, significant hurdles due to the statutes of limitations for certain offenses. This is part of today's bombshell news. Bombshell news. Some people don't like it when I say that. Guess what? I'm going to keep saying it. Bombshell news. As it would turn out, the statute of limitations counter-argument is actually not so effective. As it would turn out, the statute of limitations thing is actually not that big of a deal. Seems like we're not really going to have to worry about that. Seems like all of these Democrats that were involved, and also members of the deep state that were involved in this coup, they're not going to be saved by the statute of limitations. And I have some proof and evidence to show you guys today, so stay tuned for that. If you're one of these guys that's been saying, oh yeah, we know they did it, but the statute of limitations, hold your horses there, guys. Okay? I think we're going to be able to get them on this. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson from Louisiana has also said that Congress may subpoena former President Barack Obama for allegedly colluding with America's intelligence agencies in order to try to tie President Donald Trump to Russia during the 2016 election. This is what House Speaker Johnson said. He said, I think we have a responsibility to follow the truth wherever it leads. That's our obligation. I agree. Johnson told reporter David Brody last month to do effectively the opposite of what that other team did. They were engaged in a partisan political plot to try to take down their foe in the other party. We need to be about the rule of law and bring an order to the chaos and searching out the truth, because the American people are owed those answers. I'll tell you guys, you know, I am optimistic. You guys can sense I'm radiating optimism here. Some people are black-pilled. Oh, it's never going to happen. Nobody's ever going to be held accountable. Oh, no. Okay, like I don't even blame you for feeling that way. Really, there's a part of me that's kind of with you there, because you know, we have a pretty bad track record in this country of terrible people not being held accountable. So I understand. I know where you're coming from. However, with this case specifically, guys, we got the information from DNI Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. We have the proof. We have the paperwork. We have the memos. We know what they did. Now we have the grand jury. Subpoenas are going out. We're going to talk about that more pretty soon here. Just in the next 5 minutes, we're going to talk about this statute of limitations. Guys, I believe people are going to get held accountable here. I really do. I really do. Let's be optimistic here. And also, I was going to say, it's very important. It is very important. It is absolutely imperative that these people are, in fact, held accountable, because we have to send a message to the American people. Guys, you don't get to try to subvert and undermine the democratic will of the American people and get away with it. This is the most egregious type of treasonous type of behavior that you could possibly engage in. Just about. People have got to be held accountable. So that's where we are. Now, guys, this is earlier this morning, just a couple hours ago. Let me put on my headset here. We have none other than Stephen Miller, who appeared on Fox News this morning, and he was talking about this entire situation. You know, there was actually something I wanted to let me rewind before we get to Stephen Miller. Okay. You guys might have noticed that for the last 2 weeks that DNI Tulsi Gabbard has been talking about this Russiagate, Russia collusion, Obamagate situation. Everybody on the left-wing side of the media apparatus, they have been ignoring this. They have not spoken about it. They're like, you know, their eyes are closed, their fingers are in their ears, blah, 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 blah. They don't want to talk about it. Okay. They're playing coverage. That's what they do. They're a part of this machine. Now that we have the grand jury here, Tulsi Gabbard has released the information. Subpoenas are going out. We have the grand jury. The left-wing media, now they are being forced to talk about it. This story is too big. The cat is out of the bag. Now they have to talk about it. And so I want to play for you guys a clip. I apologize, from CNN. I think you're going to understand why we're going to play the CNN clip. Take a look at this.
We're back with more breaking news in our law and justice lead. A source telling CNN that Attorney General Pam Bondi has directed federal prosecutors to launch a grand jury investigation into accusations that Obama officials manufactured intelligence about Russia's 2016 election interference.
That's right.
The grand jury could issue subpoenas or even pursue a potential indictment as part of a criminal investigation into allegations that Democratic officials tried to smear Donald Trump during his 2016 campaign by falsely alleging his campaign was colluding with the Russian government. Now, this follows a recent move from Trump's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. She declassified documents that she alleged undermined the Obama administration's conclusion that Russia tried to help Trump defeat Hillary Clinton.
The left-wing media has been saying that all of this information that Tulsi Gabbard has brought to the forefront, has brought to the table over the last 2 weeks, guess what the left-wing media has been saying, if anything at all? They've pretty much said nothing, but whenever they've been pressed on it, they say, well, Tulsi Gabbard is totally and completely discredited. She's an untrustworthy source. You know, all the information she is bringing to the table here, it's all just bogus. It's all unsubstantiated. In fact, it is so bogus and unsubstantiated that we don't even need to talk about it. It is so completely fraudulent. She is so untrustworthy that, you know what, we're not even going to read it to you. In fact, you shouldn't even bother yourself with reading it. They don't want us talking about this. They are trying to shut this down. They're playing coverage. They are. To the best of their ability, it is failing. Like we said, now we have the grand jury. They've got to talk about it.
Let's bring in CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig. Ellie, what do prosecutors need to start or set up here? What's the process?
Yeah, Phil. So look, this is a big step forward because now we've moved from beyond the stage of reports and referrals and political statements into what appears to be an actual criminal investigation by the Justice Department. Traditionally, and I can't necessarily vouch.
That is right. It is a legitimate criminal investigation by the Justice Department. As it would turn out, Tulsi Gabbard was right. President Trump was right. These evil anti-American freaks tried to subvert the democratic will of the American people. They intentionally concocted a story. They lied to us, and now they are getting held accountable. About, pardon my language, about damn time.
Now, traditionally, and I can't necessarily vouch or speak for this particular Justice Department because they've defied a lot of norms, but traditionally the burden to open a grand jury investigation is fairly low. It's not nothing. As a prosecutor, you have to have some basis to believe that a federal crime may have been committed. But Phil, now that there is a grand jury convened, that gives DOJ prosecutors enormous investigative powers. You already mentioned the two major things that grand juries can do. Number one is investigate. They can issue subpoenas. These are criminal subpoenas. They're essentially mandatory. You can challenge them, but they're typically upheld by courts. You can subpoena witnesses who will have to come in and give testimony in the grand jury. And then the second thing grand jurors can do, and we're down the line here, is ultimately vote to indict. That's how federal prosecutors obtain indictments. The burden is simply that you have to show probable cause that a crime was committed. It's a much lower burden than in order to show someone's guilt. So this is a major step forward in this investigation, and potentially quite a precipitous one as well.
What do you think?
Potentially, it's a major step forward and potentially quite a precipitous one. What does that mean? He means this is going to be consequential. This is the, you know, he's trying to downplay the severity of this entire situation because he's Mr. CNN legal correspondent. That's his job, is to downplay this, but they know. What's the idiom? The roosters are coming home. The chickens are coming home. The chicken eggs are about to whatever the idiom is. I'm sorry. It's happening. The point is, it's happening now. If we're talking about subpoenas here, who do we expect? We're about to touch base with Stephen Brennan here, but who do we expect? Stephen Miller. Who do we expect to get subpoenaed, to get called in? You got to testify under oath. Who are we looking at here? Former FBI Director John Brennan, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, former FBI Director James Comey, Hillary Clinton, who is very likely a demonic witch who crawled out of hell, a fissure in the ground that smells like sulfur. If I had to bet, I've never smelled her personally, but I imagine her smelling like sulfur. Democratic Senator Adam Schiff. He was a part of this also. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see a lot of this stuff starting to happen here very soon. The investigation is underway. The DOJ is taking this very seriously. Now, Stephen Miller, we're going to touch base with him. Take a look.
Stephen, it's great to have you this morning. Welcome.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And I want to start with the Russia collusion story because I know you lived it as well. They also tried to spy on you. They wanted your emails, subpoenaed you as they left people really with their lives changed. Your reaction to what was released this week?
The Russia collusion hoax against President Trump remains the single greatest hoax and the greatest assault on our democracy in the history of this country. There's no comparison. There's no parallel to anything else. It was a...
Real quick, true or false? This was the single greatest assault on our American democracy in the history of this country. True or false? I'm thinking true. This is a big deal, and they know it's a big deal. Right now, they are sweating bullets. They are freaking out.
There's no parallel to anything else. It was a coup. And I'm using that term literally. It was a coup to overthrow a democratically elected government, a coup carried out by the intelligence apparatus of this country, by the deep state, by Hillary Clinton and the Democrat Party. The new information that has been revealed by the Director of National Intelligence and by the FBI eliminates any scintilla of doubt about the intention, the premeditation, the planning and orchestration of this conspiracy. It meets all of the criminal elements of a seditious conspiracy against the United States. It meets the criminal elements of an insurrection. It meets the criminal elements of a conspiracy against the government and the criminal elements of a conspiracy to deprive citizens of their civil rights under color of law.
So what is he saying? He's rattling all, it meets this element, it meets that element, da-da-da-da-da. He's saying, guys, you know, once again, so I saw somebody call me, they said that I'm too optimistic here, so I apologize. The reason why he's listing all of this off, did it bullet point for bullet point, is because what he's saying is that this is a bulletproof case. They have the evidence, they have the proof, okay? It checks every single box it needs to check. He's saying they would not be moving forward with all of this if they didn't feel confident in their ability to actually bring this thing home, okay?
Under color of law. One egregious felony after another. And because it is a conspiracy, as demonstrated by the forethought of realizing and documenting that they understood that this was fake from the beginning, meeting the mens rea standard in law. Because of that, because it is a conspiracy, every single individual actor is now part of that conspiracy. So that includes Brennan and Clapper and Comey and Hillary and Schiff and everybody else who knowingly and willfully perpetrated this plot, this coup, this conspiracy, this scheme against President Trump and the government of the United States.
Yep.
And now is the time and the hour and the moment for accountability so that we can reclaim this democracy, Maria.
Well, do you believe we will actually get a...
We're going to play that clip next. Are we going to actually get accountability? Now, from the DOJ's perspective, this is what they have to be able to prove. Yes, every single Democrat, in fact, every single left-leaning person in the country, many of whom still to this day, are pushing this idea that Trump colluded with the Russians. Listen, just because they said this is what they have to prove in the court, in the legal system. Okay. Just because a Democrat politician said Trump colluded with Russia, that's not enough to convict them. They have to prove that the Democrat knew that they were lying, that they were intentionally lying and intentionally being deceptive. I'm sure you had a whole bunch of Democrats that actually believed that they fell for the bait almost. They bought into the propaganda, okay? It's not enough to just be a clueless idiot. That's not a crime. Parroting propaganda, regrettably, that's not an issue. Well, it is an issue, but it's not illegal. So what they have to prove is that this Democrat, this person, Adam Schiff, Comey, Clinton, whatever, whoever, Obama, they intentionally lied. They intentionally fabricated information, and they knew that they were lying. It was intentional deception. That's what they have to prove, and that is the case they are making. And by the way, we have the paperwork. We know that that's what a lot of them did. So when he's listing off a bunch of names here, former CIA Director John Brennan, seems like he knew. Former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, seems like he knew. Former FBI Director James Comey, seems like he knew. Demonic witch, succubus, harpy, demonic entity Hillary Clinton, seems like she knew. Democrat Senator Adam Shifty Schiff, once again, seems like he knew. And so these are the people that they are going to target. These are the people they're coming after. They knew exactly what they were doing. Now, I see a super chat here. I want to shout this one out. Adam Schiff was the biggest lie spreader during this conspiracy and should be top of the list for prosecution. Once again, he spread that lie. We've got to prove that he knew he was lying. That's the burden of proof here. Did he actually know that this Russian collusion stuff was a lie, that it was fraudulent, that it was cooked up by the Democrats and the deep state? I would bet, if I had to bet, I would bet probably, and we're going to find out pretty damn soon. I'm with you on that. Okay, now, thank you very much. I appreciate that super chat. The question that presumably Mrs. Bartiromo left off at was, are we actually going to get accountability? That's what people want. Nobody cares about this story if we don't get accountability. Okay? So, are we going to actually see some consequences here? Let's take a look.
Hour and the moment for accountability so that we can reclaim this democracy, Maria.
Well, do you believe we will actually get accountability? We've been demanding accountability now for a decade. Our audience is well aware that this is the biggest political scandal we have ever seen, and an effort to undermine and take down a duly elected president. But
guys, this situation, who here is old enough to remember all of the details of the Watergate scandal with Nixon? By the way, listen, that was a crock of bull crap. I'm sure you guys agree, a lot of you. This situation here, this Obamagate situation, is Watergate times 100. No, it's Watergate times 1,000. Okay, we need to see accountability. What's going on here makes Watergate look like nothing. It looks like child's play. Who cares about it? That's how big of a deal this is now. Real quick, before we continue this clip, there is a massive super chat. We really should ignore the Black Pillars. Black Pillars didn't give an answer to Pearl Harbor or win Stalingrad or Waterloo or most of all the Revolutionary War. Black Pillars trade being edgy today against a better tomorrow. This is what I think. I think as Americans, we have an obligation to do the best we can do in the moment now and try to overcome the trials and tribulations we have in the moment. I think throwing our hands up out of despair and saying, oh, all hope is lost. Oh, it's over. I don't know. Maybe somebody will fix it someday in the future. I don't know. But right now, things are too tough. It's over. We can't do anything. I feel like that's not, you know, I've got kids. The way I look at it, if I don't try to make the country a better place right now, then I'm condemning my son. I'm condemning my daughter. Maybe they've got to do it. Okay, listen, I got to do it. The buck stops here. We got to do it. We got to make this place better. Okay, now, I appreciate that. I'm with you. I appreciate that a lot. Accountability. Are we going to get it?
To undermine and take down a duly elected president. But now we want to see the tricksters face the consequences. Will they?
Yes.
I have complete confidence in the Department of Justice to follow these facts, to follow this new, further avalanche of evidence, and to take all the necessary legal steps to ensure that the wrongdoers, the coup plotters, the schemers, and the insurrectionists are held fully accountable under the laws and Constitution of these United States. Yes, Maria, I believe that.
Now, last weekend, John Ratcliffe, CIA director who is a former prosecutor, former DNI, told us that the statute of limitations, the 5-year statute, does not apply when it comes to conspiracy. And he says the conspiracy is ongoing because they still won't admit it. The conspiracy is still happening. So what is your take?
Pay attention. Statute of limitations for conspiracy is 5 years. Some people are saying, oh, well, all of this happened in 2016, maybe 2017. Listen. The conspiracy is ongoing. Have they come out? Have they admitted to all of this? Did Clapper and Comey and Brennan and Obama and Clinton and Schiff, all these guys, did they come out and admit that they lied? No. Well, what does that mean? That means that they are trying to still, to this day, perpetuate the conspiracy, which means this 5-year statute of limitations hasn't even kicked into effect because the conspiracy is ongoing.
Take on what Ratcliffe told us last week.
Oh, he's completely right. So several of the statutes I mentioned, we have not even come close to eclipsing the statute of limitations. But more than that, it is an ongoing and continuing conspiracy. It continued through the entirety of President Trump's first term. It continued through the entirety of President Biden's term in office. Yes. And it continues to this day. There are still deep state coup plotters who are trying to conceal and hide this information on behalf of the people they are protecting.
Real quick, let's just a little hypothetical thought experiment here. Let's think back to the 2020 election, which, by the way, we all know was stolen by the Democrats. It's a bunch of stuff, mail-in ballots, etc. The COVID, they capitalized on this stuff. But, you know, it's 2020 on the campaign trail, Biden versus Trump. Trump is the incumbent. Biden's trying to oust him. Now, at this point, keep in mind, a huge portion of the country actually still believed in the Russia collusion narrative. Okay, this is a highly successful PSYOP, highly successful propaganda lie. Like we said earlier in today's broadcast, 64% of Democrats still believe it. So if 64% of Democrats still believe it now in 2025, rewind back to 2020, you know a lot of Americans believed this lie. This was an effective lie. I hate to say it. I wish it wasn't the case. This lie was effective. That's why this is such a big deal. Is it possible that this highly effective lie, which was completely fraudulent, is it possible that this impacted the outcome of the 2020 election? Of course. Let's hypothetical here. In the absence of this lie, would it have been easier for Trump to win in 2020? Absolutely. Of course. So this lie that they spread in 2016, Russia collusion, whatever, was highly consequential. This is a massive deal. Okay. It has gone on to impact 3 different presidential elections, 2016, 2020, 2025, 2024. Still there's a lingering effect. Okay. Massive deal, big deal.
There are still staffers in Democrat offices who know the full truth, who are concealing that truth. So all of this behavior, all of this conduct collectively means the conspiracy hasn't ended, is ongoing.
Yep.
Comey in particular has throughout the years engaged in conduct and lies, public statements, and testimony in front of Congress. False testimony whose sole purpose was to perpetuate and continue the conspiracy. So I have every hope and expectation that the Department of Justice, under the leadership of our courageous Attorney General, will follow these facts and follow the evidence and deliver justice. Because if we have a country where we can continue to have FBI careerists and CIA careerists, deep staters who will fabricate and doctor evidence, who will create and produce fake material, fabricated material, phony information to try to go after their political enemies up to and including the president. If we continue to create the impression and the reality that there is not a severe criminal penalty for such conduct, it will never stop. It will never desist. It will keep on going forever. And we will continue to have a country that is sabotaged endlessly by the production of fake documents, fake material, fake plots against democratically elected officials. We can't have that. There must be consequences.
Well, I mean, it's just
there has got to be heads have to roll. Figuratively speaking, of course, after due process, figuratively speaking. I mean, guys, listen, what is the point of having elections? What's the point of having a constitution? What's the point of having a democratic constitutional republic if we have this highly entrenched, subversive, anti-American deep state that is just effectively overturning the outcome of presidential elections? What's the point? What's going on here, right? This stuff, these people have got to be ripped out by the roots and tossed in the compost bin. Okay, we cannot allow this to go on. And by the way, this is why President Trump's second presidential term right now is so consequential. If he doesn't do it, if he doesn't rip these people out of our system, if he doesn't drain the swamp, so to speak, if he doesn't shut down the deep state, so to speak, who else is going to come along and do it? Is some guy in 2018 going to do it? I wouldn't hold my breath. What about 2032? I wouldn't hold my breath. If we don't, also keep in mind, okay, the deep state, they know that right now they are facing an existential crisis. They are the most vulnerable. They are the most exposed now that they have ever been. And so if they survive throughout the next 3.5 years, if they are not totally ripped out of the system and tossed in the garbage can in the next 3.5 years, what are they going to do? They're going to bunker down. They're going to strengthen themselves. They're going to build up a more robust defense apparatus. They're going to bunker down. They're not going anywhere. So like I said, it has to happen now. And if it doesn't, it is probably never going to happen. We have got to solve the problem now. And this is one of the reasons why we all voted for President Trump. It's got to happen now in the next 3.5 years. So, but you know what? As Mr. Stephen Miller just said, it sure seems like that is going to be happening. So I'm maintaining optimism here. Now we have Republican attorney Mike Davis who chimed in on this. What type of criminal charges might these people be facing? But first, I want to take a look at this. Here is a massive super chat from Diana Ross. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a million times over. Huge. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, guys, right now, as a reminder, we are live on Rumble, Matt Morse TV on Rumble. We are also live right now, Matt Morse TV on YouTube. So if you are new, please make sure to subscribe over here, subscribe over there, like over here, like over there. Shout out the Rumble guys. Shout out the YouTube guys. We have the greatest audience in the world. Let's keep on moving on with the show. Thank you all very much. Toy Painter, I appreciate that. that super chat. Thank you very much. Let's take a look. Republican attorney Mike Davis. Check this out. Let's play the clip here. Oop.
Well, we have particular vulnerability.
Hold up. Too fast and not loud enough. Can we crank up the audio here? Okay, here we go.
Well, we have particular vulnerability, do we not, for John Brennan, who testified before Congress. The allegations come from, well-placed individuals that he could have committed perjury, along with others who testified before Congress. Do you see that as one of the main charges that could come out of this grand jury?
That's one of the charges, is perjury. Another charge that I think is most likely is a conspiracy charge, maybe conspiracy against rights under 18 U.S.C. Section 241. And remember, when you have an ongoing conspiracy, when you are covering up that conspiracy, the statute of limitations does not begin to start tolling. And so this is an ongoing criminal conspiracy. The people who are perpetuating this conspiracy are still covering it up. And so, again, I would say to these lawfare Democrats, lawyer up, because justice is definitely coming.
Weaponizing the intel community against a candidate or an incoming president. We've never seen anything like that before in American history, if that's what the facts end up showing. It's
a big deal. It is a massive deal. It's a big time problem. And I'll tell you what, call me extreme here. Let me know if you agree with me. Everybody here that is under investigation, or that even we maybe think was loosely involved in this coup, in this Russia collusion, fake baloney bullcrap coup here, we got to seize their passports. We cannot let these people flee the country. They know the guillotine, figurative guillotine, is slowly coming down. They're looking up. They're saying, man, I don't have long. Figuratively speaking, of course, they're saying, man, it's only a matter of time before my butt is sitting in a prison cell. Listen, Trump, DOJ, seize their passports. Do not let them flee to some other foreign country. We cannot let these people get away. There are all types of countries all across the world that don't extradite to the U.S. I think France is one of them. I think Israel, I think, is one of them also. Whatever. There's a bunch of them. Who cares? But anyway, we cannot let these people slip through the cracks and avoid accountability. We have to hold them accountable. All these people have got to be held in a prison cell, federal prison. Do not let them flee the country. But anyway, so this was the first breaking news bombshell story of the day. Okay, talking about the ongoing updates with the Obamagate stuff. The subpoenas are going out soon. The grand jury is open. The DOJ has built a case. This is underway. If you're one of these people that says, nobody ever gets held accountable, listen, you are watching it happen live in prime time every single day. It's unfolding. So we're going to keep talking about this. But now we have another story today that I want to move on to. And this one is relating to the Jeffrey Epstein situation. Comer unleashes this happened today, just 4 hours ago. Breaking news, hot off the press. And by the way, Neku, thank you. I appreciate that. Super chat, thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. Comer unleashes a subpoena storm. Clinton's Comey, Garland, Mueller, or have now been, as of 4 hours ago, ordered to testify in front of Congress under oath in the Jeffrey Epstein probe. So if you thought things were already bad enough for some of these guys, now they've got another issue. Now they've been subpoenaed by Congress to come talk about Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of the same people, a lot of overlap here. The House Oversight Committee Chairman, James Comer, a Republican from Kentucky, announced Tuesday, 4 hours ago, that he has issued subpoenas to some of the most powerful political figures of the past 3 decades to testify in an investigation centered on the horrific crimes perpetuated by none other than Jeffrey Epstein. We are not done with this. There's more to talk about, as described in the committee's press release. Among those that are under subpoena now. Wow, what a list. Everybody, bear with me. Former U.S. Attorney General William Barr. Former U.S. Attorney General Alberto Gonzales. Former U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions. We've got 3 different attorney generals here. Former FBI Director Robert Mueller. Former U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder. Attorney General Merrick Garland, former FBI Director James Comey, former Secretary of State, demonic entity who crawled out of the depths of hell, Hillary Clinton, former President Bill Clinton, the big man himself, Bill Clinton. Guys, listen, guys, I don't know how to put this. Everybody that says, hey, nothing ever happens. Oh, nothing ever happens. Listen, I agree with you a lot of the time. You're right. Not enough happens. We do need to see more accountability. This is big. This is a big list of names. Okay. So at a minimum, all of these people are going to have to come and talk in front of Congress, testify. They've been subpoenaed. They have to come. It's a crime to ignore a congressional subpoena. They have to come and talk. And they're going to have to talk under oath. Now, of course, they could plead the fifth. Okay, we got to see what happens, but we're going to see the congressional deposition of Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, blah, 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 all these guys. Now, worth noting, we talked about what happens if you ignore a congressional subpoena. Well, you go to jail. That's what happens. We saw this just a couple years ago with Peter Navarro and also, what's his name? Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, these are friends of Trump. They're Trumpers. They're MAGA guys. Peter Navarro is in the Trump administration right this very moment now, to this day. They were subpoenaed as it relates to January 6th, and they said, screw you. I'm not going to come talk in front of Congress. I'm not going to do this. This is a little bull crap. And so they both spent 3, 4, 5 months in jail. Okay, seriously, because they blew off these congressional subpoenas. So I think everyone here is going to have to come talk in front of Congress. Let's keep on reading here. The House Oversight Committee, through Chairman Comer, subpoenaed the Department of Justice for all the records related to Jeffrey Epstein in accordance with a bipartisan vote by the Federal Law Enforcement Subcommittee on July 23rd. Guys, the story gets even crazier. If you're someone here that wants more information about Jeffrey Epstein, raise your hand. That's me. I'm not done with Epstein. I want to know. I want more information here. The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed not just all of these individuals, but also the current Department of Justice, saying, hey, listen, DOJ, you got to hand over all the records you have as they pertain to Jeffrey Epstein. We need some closure here. The vote included an amendment from Representative Summer Lee, a Democrat, Pennsylvania, to expand the scope of the DOJ subpoena. In a separate motion introduced by Representative Scott Perry, a Republican from Pennsylvania, and approved by voice vote, the subcommittee directed the chairman to compel testimony from Bill and Hillary Clinton, along with several former U.S. Attorney General and FBI directors. Now, how many times did Bill Clinton go to that island? 28? That's what I heard from Trump. Trump said that 28 times. Bill Clinton went to the island. He went all over the place. Well, that's kind of a weird relationship you have there. Billy. The move is part of the committee's broader investigation into the federal government's handling of the Epstein case and associated individuals, including Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime accomplice, who is currently serving a 20-year sentence for the trafficking of minors. Bill Clinton's documented interactions with Jeffrey Epstein include multiple flights aboard the now infamous Lolita Express. Disgusting. According to his own 2024 memoir, Citizen, My Life After the White House. So Bill Clinton actually talked about his escapades with Epstein in his own book that he released a year ago. Okay, so let's think about that. Why would Bill Clinton talk about the times he rode on the airplane and hung out with Epstein in his book, in his memoir that came out 12 months ago? Why would he do that? It's because he is trying to get ahead of the scandal. He is trying to preemptively control the narrative. That's why he does that. Do you think Bill Clinton just wants to talk about this in his memoir? No. He's trying to control the optics. Okay, well, the optics are about to get very hard to control. The information is going to come out. Now, let's keep on reading here. Bill Clinton, in his book, he said, I wish I never met him, Epstein. Epstein also, visited the White House at least 17 times in 1993, during Bill Clinton's first year in office. Bill Clinton's first year in office, Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House 17 times, over once per month, 1.5 times per month or something, do the math. That's nuts. As Breitbart News reported, the Department of Justice filed a motion in the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York to unseal grand jury transcripts associated with Epstein's indictment pending court approval. We got to wait. The move, made at the direction of the Attorney General, comes amid mounting congressional scrutiny of DOJ leadership past and present, including former FBI directors James Comey and Robert Mueller, both of whom have now been subpoenaed to testify before the House Oversight Committee. A lot of people, let's just be adults here. A lot of people aren't happy with how the Epstein situation has been handled, both Republicans and Democrats. This is kind of like a bipartisan thing. Hilariously enough, I guess, is that, listen, we need closure here. We need accountability for all the sick things that happened. We need accountability for the victims, for the young girls that were trafficked. This is not the end of the story. Very clearly, we need to have a conclusion here. Okay. I think everybody kind of feels like that to some degree. So good. Congress is pushing the issue. There's a bipartisan endeavor in Congress to push the issue here. And it seems as if they are pushing this issue successfully, because now they're sending out subpoenas. Good. Great. Get them all, round them up and have them come talk in front of Congress under oath. Good. And if they don't agree to come talk in front of Congress, guess what? They go to jail. If you ignore a congressional subpoena, you're going to jail. So good, fine. Ball's in their court now. During an exchange with reporters on July 25th, President Trump criticized the media for focusing on accusations against him while, in his view, ignoring former President Clinton's connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Trump said, "You ought to be speaking about Bill Clinton, who went to that island 28 times. Trump said, "I never went to the island." Now, you guys know my opinion. I don't think Trump is criminally implicated in any of this Epstein stuff. We've talked about that. We've dedicated probably 2 or 3 different broadcasts. A video I made a week ago kind of broke down my thoughts on that. This is my opinion, not only do I not think that there is any reason to believe that Trump is criminally implicated in any of the Epstein stuff, I think there's actually a huge amount of evidence suggesting that he is not criminally implicated in any of the Epstein stuff. I think there's evidence going the other way that kind of exonerates him. So, but either way, regardless, we need more information here. Okay. People got to be held accountable. So keep pushing the issue. I'm really, frankly, I'm happy that Congress is pushing this issue and that we have subpoenas going out now. Now, Breitbart editor-in-chief Alex Marlow recently told Newsmax that the American people are hungry for justice and accountability. I think that's correct. It feels like there's finally a new energy, particularly with this new Trump cabinet, to try to actually make something of this stuff happen, Marlow said. And so, guys, listen, we have a massive super chat here from Derek Rogers. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. I appreciate that. Shout out the Rumble chat. Shout out the YouTube chat. Everybody follow, subscribe, like Matt Morse TV Rumble, Matt Morse TV YouTube, everywhere. On Twitter, also on X, Matt Morse TV. Guys, listen, today is a big day for accountability. If you're someone that is seeking justice, seeking truth, seeking accountability, listen, like we all know a lot of the crimes that have been committed here. Whether it be the Epstein situation, have crimes been committed? Yes. Have terrible deeds been done? Yes. Flashback to the Obamagate stuff we were talking about a half hour ago. Have crimes been committed? Yes. If you're somebody that wants accountability for all of these terrible things, whether it be this one or that one, today is a big day for accountability on both fronts, both avenues here, Epstein and Obamagate. We've broken it all down here today. Serious, legitimate, actual steps are being made to bring these people to justice. Okay? Thank God. And like I said, Trump is not a king. He's not a dictator. Regardless of what the Democrats say, regardless of what they call him, he's not a Hitlerian fascist dictator. He can't just snap his fingers and throw people in a prison cell. If you want accountability, I do. I know you guys do too. You got to go through the motions. You got to build out the case. You got to have the grand jury. You got to have some PETAs going out. You got to have your interrogations. You got to have the attorneys involved. Like, you have to go through the proper legal process. And so that, I know it takes time. I know it's frustrating. That is what we are seeing now. That is what is happening day by day. So guys, bear with it. Okay. Keep coming back. We're going to have more daily news updates. Guys, every single day we are going live on YouTube, Matt Morris TV, Rumble, Matt Morris TV, every day at 4 p.m. Western, 7 p.m. Eastern. Every day, pretty much every day. So really, my goal is literally every day, 7 days a week. I'm going to be here so much you guys are going to get sick of me. So I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast. I appreciate it a ton. That's going to be a wrap for today's broadcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more updates. Everybody have a great, Tuesday evening. Today's Tuesday. Have a great Tuesday evening. Have a great Wednesday morning. God bless everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you all. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.